All right, welcome back to the Virtue Bowling Supply YouTube channel. My name is Chris and I'm here to bring the high rev perspective.
And my name is Josh and I'll be bringing the low rev perspective.
Today we're gonna be taking a look at the 900 Global Vengeance Returns, and I'm gonna be comparing that to the 900 Global Vengeance and the Motive Venom Hysteria.
And I'll be comparing it to the Storm Bionic and the Hammer Full Effect. These comparisons will give us and you an idea of what these pieces look like going down the lane. At the end, we will give our honest, unbiased review anywhere from nuts to trash. Today, we are here at Bolero Via Linda on a fresh house shot. With that being said, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys out on the lanes.
I thought this ball motion was pretty good. It did feel borderline niche just because it was pretty strong. And honestly, the first few shots out of box felt like it didn't really want to slow down and make the corner. So it felt like it almost went 60 feet with kind of how it went down the lane. But once I got a few shots into it and moved a little bit further left and slowed my ball speed down, the ball actually wanted to retain energy and make the corner. Ball motion rise off the end of the pattern felt pretty similar to the original Vengeance in my opinion, but the front part of the lane, it just wanted to float a little bit more. It made it a little easier to get through the front part of the lane, but it was still strong enough and forward that it didn't really hockey stick many times. So now I'm gonna go ahead and throw the original Vengeance and see how that compares. All right, after seeing the Vengeance go down the lane, definitely wanted to be a little bit earlier because of that solid cover stock, but still shape-wise, it wanted to be strong and forward off the end of the pattern. I don't typically need to get too far left with this one just because I feel like it's strong enough that it kind of gets to that point where it kind of flat tens. So I do like, with this core shape, being a little bit more further to the right, playing it a little bit more in front of me. This one, needing to find a little bit more on the front part of the lane, I kind of had to bump it a little bit further left, but it shaped pretty good. I do think that these are close enough that I wouldn't have them both in the same bag. Like, I feel like I could trick the Vengeance, the original Vengeance, a little bit more just to get through another game or so, and I'd be able to kind of skip the spot where the Vengeance return fits and go to something that's a little bit cleaner, something like a Rocket AI or something that's like a Venom Hysteria. So not having both of them in the bag makes a little bit more sense to me. So now I'm gonna go and throw the Venom Hysteria and see how that compares. This one is definitely a little bit weaker than the Vengeance Returns. Core shape is just a little bit smaller. I definitely feel like the cover-wise, I feel like they are pretty similar. The Venom Hysteria doesn't want to shape too much. It is kind of slow to the friction, but once you get ball speed a little slower, you start to see that friction response a little bit more, kind of like the Vengeance Returns. But core-wise, I feel like the Vengeance Returns is just a little bit more arcy and a little more forward off the end of the pattern. All right, overall, I feel like the Vengeance Returns ball motion was pretty good. Like I said earlier, it feels like it's borderline niche. If this was any stronger, I feel like I wouldn't really like it very much, and it'd be honestly too close to the original Vengeance. To me, I feel like there should have been a little bit more of a gap between the two. That way you could potentially have them both in the same bag, but for me, I definitely wouldn't have them both in the same bag. Like I said earlier, I could trick the Vengeance a little bit just to be able to get to something a little bit weaker after I throw that ball. So I could really kind of skip that spot in the bag and go to something like a Venom Hysteria, which has kind of been my go-to ball in this category. So I think this ball is good enough to be in the fire category, so that's where I'm gonna put it, but it's borderline met just because it feels almost a little bit too niche.
This ball for me was definitely a little different. The original Vengeance was a pretty big ball, really forward, super strong. For this one, out of box it's shiny, but I feel like that's definitely a little trick. I did not feel like it was very quick to friction. I felt like it was still kind of that strong, very forward shape that the original Vengeance has, just allowed it to float a little bit more through the fronts. Overall, I wasn't a huge fan of just the way this ball rolled. I felt like it was kind of different in the sense of like I could see the, trying to get the cleanness through the fronts, but I just felt like it overall didn't shape off of friction the way I kind of wanted it to. I felt like it needed to be just a hair more angular. I felt like every time I got it to the break point, it just rolled so forward on me that it was really hard to get it to shape the right way through the pins. As I moved a little further left, I tried to kind of shape it more, and it just, for me, honestly, I felt like the shape just got worse. It definitely looked better from straighter, but even then it still had, had to be very nitpicky with how it was getting through the pocket. So now we're gonna go ahead and throw 5 shots with the Storm Bionic and see how it compares. For me, this ball is actually, in my opinion, actually fairly close to the Vengeance. However, I did feel like it was just a hair bit earlier, but for me, this is easily a ball I would go to over the Vengeance. I felt like it just shaped a little bit better for me, and I didn't feel like I had to fight the ball motion as much. I could still also feel like I could shine up the Bionic, and it's strong enough to actually get off spot, where with Vengeance, I don't know, I just felt like it was just too forward off of it, and wasn't quick enough to that friction like the Bionic can be as well. So now we're gonna go ahead and throw 5 shots with the full effect and see how it compares. For me, this ball and are somewhat close, I would say, but I do feel like the full effect is a ball I would try to go to when I'm trying to get that ball to kind of burn up and go a little bit more forward, where the Viking can do that. I just feel like the full effect does it a little better. Like I said, I just feel like the Viking is kind of stuck in between 2 worlds. These are all kind of definitely middle of the road balls, but I feel like the Viking specifically just either needs more surface or a weaker core, just like something to allow it to shape in the right part of the lane, either a little earlier, a little later, because like I said, the Bionic and the full effect, I feel like give me those types of shapes, where the Vengeance just didn't quite do it. Final thoughts on the Vengeance return. For me, this one was just kind of an interesting shape. I liked the colors of it, but going down the lane, I just felt like it just rolled kind of blah for me. There's no other real good word. I just felt like it wasn't seeing the friction in the right way to allow the ball to shape correctly through the pins. And for that reason, I am going to give this ball a potato. I really liked the original Vengeance, which kind of sucks, but I just felt like this ball is kind of a dud for me, in my opinion. So potato for today.
Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.